Hi, everyone. So, I was just talking to my husband Joe yesterday about these hurricanes. The one coming today and the one that already came and devastated the Carolinas. And how strange it was that they're not letting anybody help and that they're not giving them any more than 750 a piece. And I think it's 750 low income, and you have to go online to get it. And just it's all very strange, and they're devastating, and there's like all these other hurricanes coming. And wouldn't it just be crazy how coincidental this is, like right before the election on the East Coast? Wouldn't it be crazy if it took out DC? And would that mean that there would not be an election? But it just seems very coincidental. And I said, wouldn't it even be crazier if they weren't natural, if they were man-made? I mean, not that they could do that, of course. They can't possibly do that. I mean, they seeded the clouds during Woodstock. That was in '69, but I mean, I'm sure they haven't figured out how to man-make hurricanes or anything, right? Oh, and by the way, for those of you who think that this guy is not telling the truth, do your research, because about 90% of everything he says, maybe 95, is true.
And this just broke. Congress is now confirming that Hurricane Helena did have U.S. government weather weapon planes in it. Now, we already have the tracks. We already have the tail numbers. They don't even hide this crap. It just broke. It's on Infowars.com. Breaking. Lawmakers briefed on weather modification tech conclude Hurricane Helena was DOD-linked weather weapon deployed against American people. Bombshell. There's Dale Whittington, who we're getting on the show, I think, tomorrow. So there you go, of Geoengineering Watch with Colonel McGregor. Let's go ahead and air these two clips back to back.
Yes. The question here is, how does this hurricane's path differ from others that we've seen? I've already had a lot of people call me from the Asheville area, talk specifically about the horrendous damage, and many of them pointed out that that is not Hurricane Alley per se. It's not an area that normally attracts storms. Can you help us understand this?
Well, the bottom line is it was directed there, as the transmission recordings clearly show. They kept that moisture corralled there to deluge in the same location. So again, these are patented technologies, and the fact that we have the entire so-called meteorological community denying that this is going on to protect their paychecks and pensions is absolutely criminal at this point. We know we have private defense contractors that are neck deep in the patents that manipulate these storms, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin. We know those two in particular do the weather modeling for the nation's weathermen, National Weather Service and NOAA. Again, both agencies have an illegal federal gag order on them. So at this point, this is an emperor has no clothes moment. That's the best description I can give for something that is so blatantly obvious and inarguable, can only be considered weather warfare at this point. And the fact that, again, the so-called science community is denying this manipulation is criminal. It's absolutely criminal, Colonel McGregor.
If you can do so, could you tell us about some of your recent discussions, conversations, briefings that you've had with political leaders from the states in question that have asked you what you think? First of all, what did they specifically ask you, if you can tell us, and how did they respond to your answers?
Yes, Colonel McGregor, I had an hour conference call yesterday with the representatives and senators from the Carolinas, and we presented the data to them to answer their questions about how this manipulation occurs. They realized this was not a natural event. They're trying to digest the fact that their states were literally under assault from weather modification operations that are clearly connected with DOD operations, and we can speculate again on the agendas and objectives being carried out, but the fact that the storm was manipulated is absolutely inarguable. We know that technology to stop these rotations from even occurring has existed for decades with the manipulation of atmospheric pressure zones. HARP in Alaska is one example many people are familiar with. That's an ionosphere heater. That's a weapon of mass destruction, period. It can cause an electrical chain reaction in the ionosphere, which heats it to extraordinarily high temperatures, which causes the atmosphere to bulge up and down. The downward push creates a high-pressure dome that can steer the jet stream. And the same type of manipulation can create low pressure zones. And when they have this type of power over the climate system, they can make or break these storms anytime they want. And again, what we see now is storms kept weaker as they're over the ocean because they're harder to steer until they reach the land-based network of transmitters. And then we have, Colonel McGregor, rapid intensification. You've heard that term probably a lot lately, because that's how they manipulate these storms. And again, we have Acapulco last October.
By the way, hit pause.
Do you believe this? I mean, I wonder if this is what they do with Katrina. And I think it's very suspect that they take so long to respond to these disasters. And what about Lahaina last year? Now this makes me really wonder, did they use direct energy weapons to light that place on fire and try to buy those people's land? Because there's tons of people bugging these people for their land here now in the Carolinas during this storm. Unbelievable. They're unbelievable. You just can't trust any of them anymore, can you? This administration has been completely mind-blowing, eye-opening, and disappointing, to say the least.